Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the Courage to Change, a recovery podcast. Today, on episode 7, we have an amazing woman and my dear friend, Emily McAllister. Emily is a sober mommy blogger who resides in Southern California with her husband, Mike, and their 2 daughters, Aiden and Frankie. She started her blog, Chasing McAllisters, in 2014 and has been wildly successful. The blog has been featured on CNN, Scary Mommy, The Bump, Babbel, Baby Center, Love What Matters, and What's Up Moms. Chasing McAllister's blog is an unfiltered, authentic, and honest account of motherhood journey from a woman in recovery. Emily was also my roommate, and we got sober together, so we have some really fun, awkward stories to share with you that hopefully will make you laugh as much as we did, including the time she cut her own bangs. I hope you enjoy this very much, and we're off to episode 7. Let's do this. All right, Emily, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
This is really exciting. I want to get into your amazing story, but we should talk about something that just happened. You were recently, last week, hit by a drunk driver in the middle of the day.
I absolutely was. Super crazy story. I was actually en route to pick up my 7-year-old from school, had my 2-year-old in the back of the car, and we're driving on the freeway listening to your podcast.
Oh, dear Lord. Dear Lord.
You and Pat. So shout out to Pat. And I don't even know her, but yeah, I'm shouting her out. But, and I just...
Thanks for walking me through my car accident.
If I died, you would have been the last person I heard.
Oh, thank you.
Hey. Okay. I don't know what that was. I don't know. It's like a flash mob singing.
I know. Sorry, car accidents make us punchy.
No, and I just, like I said, I was kind of zoned out listening. I mean, I was paying attention to the road, but I heard like screeching tires and then was like, that is getting closer. And then we were hit. And
on the freeway.
Oh my God. Like miraculously, the impact wasn't that crazy. I was able to get over to the shoulder. The girl ran. I didn't know it was a girl. I just assumed it was a guy. I was like, that guy. But like, I kept waiting for like another car to pull over. And
wait, tell us what time it was.
It was 2:15 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
But I was like kind of looking in my rearview mirror. I was talking to 911 on the phone, and I was like looking to see if traffic was backed up behind us, because I'm like, surely like somebody's stuck in the middle of the road, or I thought there was a pileup.
Right.
And then I was like, nobody else is pulling over. Like, where is this? And she's like, you should pull off the freeway and go to a gas station. It's not safe to be like on the shoulder of the freeway.
This is the 911.
Yeah. As I'm like dragging my muffler. I was like, what is that? But, and I'm like, is somebody gonna go back and get that car? Because like, I was like, kind of pissed. Like, we just got hit out of nowhere from behind. And so then when I pulled off to the gas station and the highway patrol finally got there, and I could hear, like, on the radio what was happening, and it was a hit and run. But somebody amazing, when I was talking to the 911 lady, she had said somebody had called in a partial plate, which I was like, oh, man, like, that's it, you know?
Yeah.
But then other people called in, and somebody amazing, or I don't even know if it was 1 or 2 cars, took it upon themselves to follow the girl, who wound up at a trailer park. Oh. And they told her like she needed to stop because the police were coming, and she went into the trailer park, and then finally she was apprehended, which is this. I found this all out later on. But at the time, I was super mad. I was like, I was ready to I was like, take me to court. We're pressing every charge. Like, you endangered my child. You broke the mama bear. Like, and I was ready to go. But then around like 7:45 p.m. that night, I got, this was like after we had been towed and all the stuff. And I got a call from the officer, and he had told me it was like a young girl, probably around 25 years old. And she was way over the legal limit, and like,
From drinking.
Yeah. And had apparently said she had broken up with her boyfriend, which sounds like a really lame excuse, but was on like some sort of a bender. And she had been arrested. And it was so interesting because immediately I like wasn't angry, and I just felt like really compassionate for her. I felt sad for her. I felt like, man. But the funny thing is like I was like, people at like my daughter's school, they were like, at 2:15, and I was like acting all appalled that anybody would be drunk at 2 on a Tuesday. And I'm like, this is so, and then finally, like, I was talking to another alcoholic, and she's like, come on, are you really that surprised that, like, don't act like you could, that wasn't you. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like,
yeah,
but
you dropped into your mainstream mom role.
I did. I was like, I know. I mean, who, like, it's so silly because
I do that too.
2:15 is probably like late in the day for somebody.
And she broke up with her boyfriend. That's a very respectable reason.
She said that, you know.
Yeah,
that
but
might
I mean,
have
that's if she had. That's a respectable reason for an alcoholic to get drunk.
Yes, and she admitted to the whole thing and said she got scared. Like apparently, what happened is she lost control of her car, hit us, spun, came to a stop on the freeway, and then she sped off to another exit. So she, it's wild. Like it's just like very surreal and very like, oh, like that could be me, right? Like we could just trade places like 10 years ago and I could be the person hitting somebody. But
I'm just so glad you're okay.
I know, it was crazy. It was literally a best case scenario of like.
My heart stopped when I saw that.
Know.
It really did. I saw.
I know, that's why I was like, we're okay.
Yeah, I know.
Like, we're fine.
We're okay, but we got hit by a drunk driver. I know. I pretty much, in my head, I heard the we're okay part, but you said we got hit by a drunk driver.
And you go to other places.
Yeah, and I just
and you're like, what's your definition of okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's funny because, you know, we talk about like drinking and driving and all the debauchery that we do. And then when we're harmed by it, you know, or our friends are harmed by it, it's really hard, you know, even though you and I both have all this history, all this understanding, compassion, we're married to people in recovery, we've been through relapse, like all this stuff, we have all the tools and knowledge, but we still feel the same way any other person who didn't understand the disease would feel. Totally. That's our immediate reaction.
Well, I honestly assumed, I guess I just assumed whoever it was like texting or something stupid or racing. Like, so that was for me, like.
Racing at 2 p.m.?
I don't know. People get stupid on the freeway.
Yeah.
Like, you ever see people? I mean, it's kind of scary out there. And anyways. But yes, and I don't want to bash my own driving, but you know. I'm like, I'm not the best driver in the world, but like.
But not the worst.
I don't know. I'm not the worst. I'm definitely not the worst, but. That's aside from I don't know why I even said that. I'm a great driver. I'm an excellent driver.
Yeah, let's just go with that. It doesn't matter how...
No, I was paying attention to the road. There was nothing extraordinary happening on the freeway that day, which was why it was, like, alarming. Everyone was doing 65 miles an hour.
Yeah.
You know, it was just weird. But anyways, yes. But when I did find out she was drunk, I immediately thought... she may not be an alcoholic, but I just immediately thought she probably is. You know what I mean? And, like... Let's be honest, if I was 25 years old, driving on the freeway drunk and hit somebody, I would probably also be so scared and not make a great decision and probably take off as well.
Yeah.
Because that's what you do. You're not in the right frame of mind when you're drunk.
Most people don't make good decisions when they're drunk at 2 p.m. in the afternoon.
I didn't.
It's just, right? Like, so it's just kind of bottom line, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's,
So anyways, we're good. And it's kind of a funny full circle moment. And I think, like, I'm still, like...
processing.
Yeah, like I'm like a person who tends to minimize things. So when something big happens, I'm like, no, we're good. It's all good. We're fine. Like I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm like apparently I'm a number 2 Enneagram. I don't know if that means anything to anyone, but
just putting it out there.
Putting it out there because that is like a common reaction, I guess.
Yeah.
But then I'm also a very close 7. So.
Oh, okay.
You should look up your Enneagram.
I will.
It's very interesting.
I'll do that. Well, I'm really glad that you're here and that you made it in. And, you know, hopefully this woman will... Maybe she'll listen to this podcast. And,
maybe she'll get sober.
Yeah,
Had some time to think in jail. The next morning I'm like, she's waking up really sober this morning.
Real sober.
Real sober in a cold cell.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad she's okay. Well, kind of shifting, you know, let's talk about your story. I want people to hear. You and I used to live together. We have this amazing history.
Crazy history.
Crazy history. And so you've been sober almost 10 years now.
Yes, it'll be 10 years in September.
That is absolutely amazing. You grew up in Boston?
Yes, raised in a suburb of Boston. I also heard on your other one that she was like claiming Cleveland and thought that was like maybe lying. So I claim Boston, but really I'm from Newton. So then I felt like, oh my God, now I have to claim, I just say Boston because it's like 7 miles outside of Boston.
I feel like that's what I told her.
Newton
I said, we all do that.
Boston.
Yeah.
Newton is a very affluent, wealthy suburb of Boston, but it is like 7 miles away, so it's pretty close.
Yeah.
Newton's right next to Cambridge, which is, where Harvard is housed. And anyways, I grew up in a suburb of Boston. The town I grew up in was very kind of high pressure. There's a lot of old money, a lot of overachieving. There's a lot of like random celebrities that come from my town because it was like the school system was very like art centric and there was a lot of opportunities there to do those types of things. Anyways, grew up there. I had an older sister who is not alcoholic, although she's got her own, I mean, she's amazing.
Yeah.
But like she just never manifested for her with drugs and alcohol. And she more identifies, like, we both come from a family with, like, lots of fun food stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, that's funny. Me too.
Yeah. And, I don't really know what to say about that other than, like, I had this older sister who could walk the line, and I couldn't.
Yeah.
I just was, like, a misfit. Like, I felt like a misfit. I felt like...
Did you do well in school?
I don't even know. Like, when I went to school.
Yeah, right.
No, I did well. I was smart, but... I definitely could have, I don't know. I had a short attention span. So I did well until I like didn't go to school. But then like I would come back and like
it's hard to do well when
you
go
to an English class and like write this paper, and the teacher would be like, "You are like failing the class because you don't come, but this is an A+ paper. Like,
right.
What is wrong with you?"
Right.
And so it was kind of like that. It was like the thing that was always said on every report card was like, "She's not applying herself." Which was like so annoying because it just becomes cliche, and you're like, I know I'm not applying myself. I am not sitting in your class, so I'm clearly not applying myself.
Yeah.
I was just that person in high school who, like, I could be on my way to class, and then somebody would, like, want to go smoke pot, and I'd be like, oh, okay, let's do that.
When did you start using?
I mean, I started, when you're young, it's like the opportunity to drink is not as prevalent as like other things. But I remember like drinking the first time in like 7th grade, and it was so cool. And then I went and visited my sister at college in 9th grade and got really drunk. They had like, she was in like a sorority, and they had big like festival of fraternities and sororities, and I was drunk and I felt cool, and a boy like proposed to me while he was drunk, and I felt really pretty. You know,
it took me a very long time to make that happen.
I know. Well, I'm going to go ahead and assume he wasn't serious, but it was fun to feel like important and special and like I get this attention, because for me, like when I drink, like part of the appeal is like I like to feel confident and like pretty, and like I get attention. I like to go out and be seen and get attention. And so anyways, so I started kind of just dabbling in like high school, and then when I was freshman high school, I started smoking pot and felt like I had arrived a little bit. And I just kind of
When you say, what do you mean, like, felt like you had arrived?
I just kind of felt like at ease. I had something to do with myself. I had somewhere to go. I had people I could, like, connect with, I think, honestly, if I really, like, look back at those years, I think I was struggling with, like, depression. And I probably knew it, but it was just such a different conversation back then. We didn't really talk about it.
Yeah.
And, like, you were weird, and I just didn't know what it meant to be that way.
So like, you didn't feel comfortable in your skin, or what was?
Yeah, and like I would just get like I'm very social and extroverted, but also like introverted in some ways. I guess that's an ambivert. I've just learned that.
Yeah.
But I would get like social anxiety, you know, like overwhelmed, or I was at the beginning stages of an eating disorder, so I would like panic to the point where like about like what to wear. Like I couldn't find something to wear, and I would just not go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like really uncomfortable.
I have that problem now.
I know, I think. Well.
So it was marijuana first. And
yeah, like I thought, honestly, when I was like 15, 16, I like thought that pot could change, like save the world. I literally thought if everybody just got together and smoked weed, like we would have world peace. I'm not kidding. Like,
no, I believe you, because when we lived together, you wanted to be a pot farmer. So we'll get there. I believe it. I've seen that part of you.
Yeah, like I just thought, like, because it dumbs you down, and it slowed me down, and I was like, oh,
were you too fast?
I felt like I was too much. Like my whole life, I felt like I was like too much energy, took up too much space. Like, so like I did a lot of things to make myself smaller. Like I threw up my food. I took drugs. I just like wanted to be this tiny little cute person that needed to be taken care of or something. I don't know. I was just like very lost, very lost.
So you're starting an eating disorder. What is an early, I mean, I know what mine looked like, but what does an early eating disorder for Emily look like?
Actually, this is really good, because I haven't actually ever really I don't think I've ever really like shared. Like, I mean, I talk to people, but I've never like, you know, I'm a blogger and I share really openly and like recently got really honest about my recovery and sobriety. But I don't think I've ever really delved into the eating disorder side of things. And that's honestly what took me down.
Yeah.
I mean, all the things took me down.
No, but
that was the thing I felt like I was going to kill myself over because I could not stop.
Yeah.
But so what it started like, and it's so funny, it started with depression. Like I felt, I'd gone to overnight camp every summer, and I remember like specifically, it was probably like 8th or 9th grade, I came home and I was sad because like when you come home from being away for 2 months with people, like it's depressing, but also like I think I was like had depression going on. And I remember I felt so sad that I didn't want to eat. It was amazing. I have to be really sad to not want to eat.
Yeah, wow. That's happened to me like twice in my entire life.
I used to joke with my husband, like, can you just pretend to leave
Yes.
me so that I don't eat for a few
Yes.
It's really sick.
No.
But yes, it has to be, I have to be very sad.
The eating disorder in me sees the eating disorder in you.
Namaste. But yeah, so I like didn't eat for like a week or something, and I felt really empowered by that because then I felt thin. And then I thought, hey, like, I'm going to do this because I don't know. It was like, I know it's like, I don't like.
How old were you?
I'm going to say like 14.
Okay.
You know, young. And I also have a very vivid memory. I guess we're going down this lane. This is where this conversation is going.
Let's take it. Let's go. Let's go down the rabbit hole.
Talk about my drugs and alcohol, but we're talking about this. It's the same. And here I want to like preface this. Like for me, drugs, alcohol, eating disorder, codependency, it's all under the same exact thing. It's all the same void, the same ism, and I just reach for different things to fill it. And so, but I do have a very vivid memory of being like 14, laying on my bed on like a Saturday afternoon and spent like 3 or 4 hours staring at Vogue magazines. It was like a double issue and like studying these women.
They don't make those anymore.
They don't. I don't know.
No, they don't.
And these women, I did not know that they were like, 6 feet, and I was 5'3" little Jewish girl with a short waist, but with those genetics,
Right.
And like studying their like hip bones, and like it was the 90s. It was like the early 90s, so like bell bottoms were in. It was like that 70s heroin chic look was very very popular.
Hanging
Kate
off
Moss.
the hips.
Yes, and I was like, I mean, I literally studied this magazine. Like it's imprinted in my memory, and I was like just fascinated and wanted to be like that.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, like I was playing soccer very competitively, and I will always err on the side of having like an athletic build. Like I will always have muscle.
Yeah.
Like even at my thinnest, you know? And so I did not understand, this is why it's like so important for us to like break down these things. But like I didn't understand that like that was not going to I was never going to look like that. Like I could start, even at my like skinny, smallest, going into treatment, like I still could pass as healthy because it was like lean muscle, you know?
Right.
But
it's just your,
physically
all of our
on the
genetics.
outside. Yes. So I just remember that. And then from that point, there was a point in which I like would try to starve myself, but then eventually I would binge because I was freaking hungry, and I would like freak out and felt like I wasn't doing it perfectly, and then throw up because I was like, oh, well, it was like damage control. That's like the literal words in my head for bulimia was always damage control.
That's interesting. So where did you get the idea to throw up?
I really don't know. I think it was just like, I don't know.
Because people didn't talk about it as much back then.
No, and I don't know if I'd seen an after-school special. I mean, literally, like, things were so cheesy in the 90s. Like, I've been rewatching 90210 for, like, 5 months. It's taking me that long before he passed away.
No.
I know. I was on season 5 when Dylan died. It was really sad.
No.
But that show was, like, kind of breaking cutting edge at the time. Like they were doing
remember.
And it's so cheesy.
The
if you go
Peach
back,
Pit?
just all of it. It's bad. It's the worst show ever. And
What?
it's bad.
I haven't rewatched
You should
it.
go back and rewatch
My
it.
memories are that this
I'm telling you, I don't know how they made it to season 2 because season 1 was so bad.
Really?
Yeah. You really should. It's on Hulu. Everybody, this is a plug for Dylan McKay. Reignite your love.
Luke Perry.
He was really great. But anyways, I've digressed. But yes, back then it was, I don't know where I got the idea, but I got the idea and it had the same effect. In fact, like it made me feel like, oh, like it felt me, like I would go out with friends and we would go eat and then I would like race home and throw up. And I felt like I had one up on you.
How old were you doing that?
This is like 14.
Okay, this is 14
This was
still.
like when it started.
Yeah.
You know, and then...
were you using it? Or sorry,
I was smoking pot, but I was also really isolating a lot too because like I was, you kind of just have to when you're in that type of an eating disorder. You're not, it's not very like social, like to be throwing up your food. But I got really good at it, you know, and then and it progressed through high school, and I got like really thin, and I got a lot of positive feedback because of that.
Yeah.
Like a lot, you know, like boys noticed, and girls noticed, and I felt like cool. And yeah, like it was just everything I wanted it to be. I still felt like crap inside. I still felt like not good enough. I still felt not thin enough, not pretty enough. But yeah, and I was drinking sometimes, I mean, when I could, you know. And then, I mean, I feel like we should move out of high school because that's just kind of the way it was. I got expelled in high school.
So you moved yourself out of high school, it sounds like.
Well, no, I switched schools in 10th grade because I was having issues. Really, my parents decided my high school was too big and I was getting lost in the shuffle, and that was the problem.
Makes sense.
Always the nice excuse for you. So I switched schools to a smaller school that like was part boarding school, part day school.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of drugs there because all those rich kids from overseas like had all the good stuff. And so we were doing like really random things like ketamine and like just experimenting, like just mushrooms, whatever, you know, crushing up my Ritalin prescription.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I got arrested during school hours, and they frown upon that. And I got expelled as a result. And it was like really sad because I had grown up doing like acting and dancing and singing, and I loved performing. And then I started playing soccer, and I was really good at it. So like I basically, like when you play club soccer, you play at a certain level, you have to decide like, what are you committed to? So I committed to soccer, but by the time this was when I was like a senior in high school now, and I was like, I think I had just turned 18 because I'm a November kid, and I had played my last season of soccer. I decided I was done. And I had randomly on a whim auditioned for the school musical just because like it was still in me. And I got the lead. It was crazy. It was Little Shop of Horrors. I was the dumb blonde Audrey. And I was so excited. It was such a fun character. And I got expelled like 2 days before the performance. So it just was like this reoccurring theme in my life of like, I had this thought in my life that when things were going well, like God, this was my concept of God, or that the world, that God was gonna come pull the rug from under my feet. Little did I know, like I was pulling the rug from under my feet. But that was like, I had this belief that I was living out all the time. Oh, just when things are good, they're gonna go away. Yeah. And it was like, I was just so bummed. Like, and I was in a lot of trouble. And like the dean of the school showed up at the jail and gave me that look. Whoa. Do you know that look? Like that look of like, you're a piece of garbage look of like the shame and the like head shake and the like, you know, incomprehensible demoralization. Yeah, and that was a result of hanging out with really bad people. I was hanging out with these guys. They all had records, you know, thick records, and we were drinking. And this is, at this point, the eating disorder had subsided.
Right.
And I was drinking 40s every day and gaining a lot of weight because if you drink a 40-ounce every day for like 6 months, you're gonna get fluffy.
It's like eating a pizza every day.
Well, then we would eat like, you know, sub sandwiches. Yes, we would. I just was like hanging out with these guys. They were such pieces. I was hanging out with one of them specifically, like I know he's like dating other friends of mine. It was just gross. Like it was just, I had low self-esteem, which is why, you know, I always say that like self-esteem is like probably the most important thing that like I have to instill in my kids because I just think like
everything else comes after that.
Yes, because girls even alcoholic girls, but girls with low self-esteem or girls with high self-esteem don't find themselves in situations that girls with low self-esteem do.
That is on point.
I mean, it's gnarly. So, and you know,
and self-esteem isn't what, I don't know if you had this experience, self-esteem isn't what I thought it was, because for me, I thought self-esteem was thinking that you're smart and pretty. And I like really, and I remember going to treatment and they were like, you have low self-esteem. And I'm like, well, I know I'm smart and I know I'm attractive. And so I have self-esteem. And it was completely.
No, it's like liking who you are.
Yeah. I miss that.
And feeling like you're contributing positively to the world.
It's a feeling you have. Like it's a feeling of worth. It has nothing to do with like, I know that I have fast-firing brain cells.
Yes, or that like somebody will sleep with me.
Yeah. I'm like, I know I'm pretty. That guy will sleep with me.
But that's what I placed value in.
Me too.
Like I needed to feel attractive. And I mean, to know like discredit to my parents, but I grew up in a home, and it's so funny because we grew up in opposite homes. I grew up in a home where we didn't talk about things.
Right.
Like, I basically watched like 16 Candles and wondered like, okay, where's Jake Ryan? Is he coming with my cake at the end of the movie? Like, I don't know if you guys, I don't know. Now I'm feeling old because that's it's an 80s movie.
No, I'm with you on
it's
the
probably like my very favorite movie too, but that and like Dirty Dancing. But I literally felt like these John Hughes movies from the 80s like shaped how I viewed like how love and sex and all that stuff was supposed to be.
Because you didn't talk about it.
Because it was awkward. It was like uncomfortable. So my parents,
with your parents.
Yes, we didn't have like a drug and alcohol talk. Not really. You know, we didn't have the sex talk. It was like, God forbid somebody be kissing on TV. It would be like everybody just clams up and don't look at each other. Do not make eye contact. Like really uncomfortable.
Okay, but
so we do things very differently.
Here's the thing, though. We talked about that, you know, a lot in my family, and we, you know, we're very open. Now it turns out we're adults, and so, but we still, when that happens in a movie, and my whole, it's still uncomfortable
so
with my
awful.
parents in the room, and which is stupid because like I have kids and I'm married, so they know what happened. But I still, you know,
it's just not okay.
People start to have sex. I'm like, I really wish my parents weren't in the room right now. This is so awkward.
Yeah, it's awful. It's terrible. It's terrible.
So how did you, so you get arrested, you're total, you know, like it's falling apart. How did you get out of Boston?
Okay, so I was on probation for a little while, and I had to finish school a semester late, so it was
How old were you?
I was 18.
18 now, okay.
And I don't even know if I had friends anymore. It was just like, I mean, I did, but it was like, the friends I had were like lower companionship. You know what I mean? Like, I was not hanging out with the people who I had come up with, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
yeah, I do.
So people went off to college.
Yeah.
And I had to make up a social studies credit. So I volunteered at a preschool. It was like so, and then I got my diploma, you know what I mean? But yeah, and then how did I get out of Boston? So I had an opportunity to go work at an overnight camp. So I'm Jewish. My family grew up Jewish. I'm not a very good one, but I grew up doing Jewy things, like going to Jewish overnight camp.
Yeah.
And I had gone to camp in like New Hampshire. But then I don't know how somebody knew somebody, and they said that I could go be a camp counselor at this camp or like go work in the preschool or something at this camp in Northern California. And I was like, okay. Like, I was just so ready to get the heck out. Like, I literally am like the definition of like the geographic relocation, because I will completely reinvent myself somewhere else and be somebody different. I will decide who I want to be and then go be that. So I went to this camp, and that was great. And then
in NorCal.
In NorCal. I think it was in Saratoga. Mm-hmm. And Camp Swig. Woo.
You're giving them a bad rap. You're like,
They're not even, I don't think they exist anymore, because
I was on probation, and then I went and volunteered.
And then I was working with kids.
Yeah, and then I was working with the kids.
No, but then, and that was super fun and super good for me, and it kind of got me back to like me a little bit, because I was around non-felons, you know. And
it's amazing what that'll do to a person.
Yes. And then I don't remember. I went back, and then I came back to Boston, and I was a hot mess with my eating disorder again. That's what it was. I got very, very sick with that, like real isolative. I was kicked out of my mom's house. I was staying with my dad. They were separated at this point.
You were kicked out of your mom's house for your eating disorder?
No, for being a schmuck, for being an a-hole.
Okay.
Because I was like, I was drinking and using, but I was so irritable.
Yeah.
I was just a mess. And I actually probably could have used to be drinking daily. You know what I mean? But I wasn't. But I was really in it with my eating disorder. Actually, I don't know. I'm all backed up. I think
Well, doesn't
matter. Let's skip that.
Okay, we'll skip that
so anyway,
part.
So then I went back to the camp the following summer, and then after that, I had a friend. Then I was in Boston. I was doing nothing good, and I had a friend who was living in Prescott, Arizona. We'd become really good friends at camp, and she had like a psycho roommate. Little did she know, who was moving out, and she needed a roommate, and I had frequent flyer miles from going back and forth to California, so I had like a free round trip flight anywhere. And I decided to use them in Prescott, Arizona. And I just, on a whim, at like 3 a.m, I booked a flight. I booked a one-way flight, actually, because, no, maybe I booked a round trip. I don't remember. But anyways, I ended up in Prescott, Arizona. I think it was like just turned 2000.
And how old were you?
Well, I was like 21. How old was I? Oh, God, don't make me do math. I was like 22.
Okay.
And
just make it up.
I was 22.
She was 22, folks.
Yeah, folks. And it was awesome. Prescott's a bar town. So it was like amazing. I was a big fish in a little pond.
Yep.
Like I was so happy to be the cute new girl. And she was actually pretty alarmed because we had spent the summer together and I was really thin because I was still engaged in an eating disorder, but I had gotten really thin. Like I had been really isolative between those times, and she was like a little taken aback because of that. And so
you didn't look well.
I never know if I didn't look well,
Yeah.
but I was really skinny.
So
I was like wearing like a size 1, you know what I mean? And size 0, size 1.
I think I skipped all
and
those.
I don't think I like possibly could ever go back to that size, even if I did start myself. But so I was like very happy with myself.
Yes.
Because I was skinny and in a new town. And it was a town nicknamed with a street named Whiskey Row.
Oh, yeah.
And I got a job at one of the local restaurant bars, the Palace. And I met a boy who was a line cook and the local pot dealer. He was perfect for me. He was such a dirtbag. I didn't know that. But, and we started dating, and I took to the bar life I loved it. I loved drinking in bars.
And for people who don't know, Emily and I met in Prescott, and for people who don't know Prescott, it's like a biker bar town. And
Is it biker?
Yeah.
It's like half cowboys,
half
retarees.
Well,
my math is very bad, but I'm going to say another half. Like local, like punker bar rats.
Yeah.
And then there are some bikers, I guess. So that's quarters.
But that was
All those halves make quarters. I didn't major in math. I didn't major in anything. I went to cosmetology school.
so it's a very unique place. It's
weird.
It's a weird place. Yeah.
Like because it's weird. It just is. And then it has that weird.
We're not doing a very good job of
Well, and then it has
describing
that engineering school. Like so, then there's like all these like
yeah.
I remember hanging out drinking with this one guy who's such a gnarly alcoholic, and I was like, well, what do you do? He's like, I'm in school. I'm a rocket scientist, and I started laughing, and he's like, no, really. I'm like, oh, you need to use that. That's a great pickup line because like I would, I'm a rocket scientist.
Yeah, Embry-Riddle, right?
Yeah, Embry-Riddle.
Yeah.
So, anyways, this town was like I found at first my friends were like kind of the hippie. Well, not the real there was like the fake hippies, but like just the people who were like all the restaurant workers, everybody smoked weed and drank and partied and had a good time. And that was like it suited me. And I stayed with this guy for about 2.5 years. We took a 3-month trip in his RV up the coast. We lived in his RV. It was a sight. I totally burned my bridge with that roommate. I actually have tried to find her to make an amends, and I cannot find her. Maybe I should try harder, but because like she was great, and I just came in like a freaking tornado. I was a tornado. Like hung out with her for the first few weeks, and then boom, was off and running, and then his and I relationship came to a screeching halt when I learned that he had been sleeping with my best friend.
Oh my gosh, been to that party.
It's
really amazing what that does to a relationship.
It's amazing what that does to a person.
Oh, I know.
I was like more mad at her.
Of course.
Because I'm like, you're my friend. We share clothes.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
what you're in my home. And then you have those punch in the gut flashbacks of like, oh, like now I have all these other things. Like I see the same scene that we were in, but I see it from a different camera angle where I'm like, oh my God, like that's why you were at my house. That's why you were making that funny face. And it was actually really traumatic.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was a whole nother, we'll get there.
Yeah.
That's confusing probably.
Yeah, that's confusing. Take that out.
But yeah, and that sent me on a like 8-month downward spiral. It was like a license to like go. And I was doing a lot of cocaine at the time. I was doing anything that I could put into my system, but like it was like go time. So then, gosh, like I was hanging out with like kind of bar drinkers at that point, but then I burned through those people real quick. And then I was like hitting with like the real bar rats and your ex-boyfriend. Like then I like graduated to like the people who like when the bar shuts down, then they go and like party somewhere else until like the sun comes up. And it was like, classic fun with problems, then just problems. My life quickly became unmanageable.
I love that. Fun with problems, then just problems.
And that was literally me.
Yeah.
Like, I am not a functional alcoholic. I stopped showing up places. I lost my job bartending. Like, bartending at a bar that, like, we used to party in after hours. I couldn't keep that job because I couldn't show up. Couldn't show up sober.
You lost your utilities.
Oh, yes. I was living in this little studio. I was actually thinking about that earlier today about just that whole, my weird neighbors and stuff. But anyways, I lived in this little studio, and it was like walking distance from the bar I worked at, walking distance to Whiskey Row. And then like, I like wasn't paying my bills anymore because I wasn't managing my money very well. I was spending a lot of money on cocaine. And then I like had no lights. I had no electricity, but like that was okay because like I would get off my shift and the sun would be setting and it was like just enough daylight left that I could like change my clothes and like freshen up my makeup and go out. And then I think my water got turned off and that was okay because like I could just shower at the party house. Like, you know what I mean? It was just like the things we make okay to like fit so we can continue to drink and use. Like, and it was just this vicious cycle at that point of like, I would go on a bender, like not even a bender, I hate that word, but I would go like drinking, you know, I'd be drunk for days. Then it would turn into drug use. Yeah. Then I would be up for a few days and then I would crash and then I would like lock myself inside and be in my eating disorder. And then I would come out of that and it would like start again. And so it was just like, I think it was like this weird way of me like switching addictions so that I never felt like I really had a problem, even though I knew I had an eating. Yeah, like and I knew I had an eating disorder. I knew that wasn't normal. Yeah. I always knew that. Yeah. But all the other stuff, because I would like lower the bar and hang out with people who were drinking like me or worse than me, I never felt like I was a problem. It was me. Right. It was always like other things, you know? And so
I love that saying that you kind of touched on, which is that most people change their behavior to meet their goals, and we change our goals to meet our behavior.
100%. And I even like remember like one night like talking to this girl, and we had been on ecstasy and all sorts of things, and I don't know how long we had been awake, but it was like the sun was coming up and we were sitting, and I just had that feeling of like, how are we gonna like get from this part of our life to like what we're like adults do, you know, like kids, family, real jobs. Like I didn't understand how people like adulted for real. Like I was like, how am I gonna like not be doing this anymore? Like when's that gonna happen? Like somebody come and tell me what to do? Like I just didn't get it. And she was like, what? And I'm like, never mind. Like, you know, like just such a overthinker. And even like, especially then when I started doing drugs like that, you really start thinking.
It really started overthinking things.
Yeah. So eventually I had no more job. I was dodging my landlord because I hadn't paid my rent, and I don't know if I was dodging him or the shadow people, but I was dodging everybody. And I threw my stuff in trash bags and put it in a storage unit and showed up at the house I was partying at and just decided I would stay there for a little while.
Oh, yeah. Wait. No, back up. Back up.
Back that ass up.
Back that ass up. Okay, wait. What did you really do?
Okay, so I was hanging out with this guy. I was dating. I don't even.
They were friendly.
We're friendly. We can't really call it dating because that implies exclusivity. Yeah. Which I was not. Neither one of us were very good at. But, you know, we had a lot of fun together. And but that was also like the house everyone partied at. Yeah. And I would get free cab rides there because I would be so wasted, and I would like probably very belligerently tell the cab driver like, take me to the clubhouse. And he was like, okay. Like they would just drop me off. Like people would like receive me there and be like, okay, thank you for delivering her. You know? Yeah. But I showed up there and just the poor guy, like I just was like, I had like a bag of laundry, I think. I just decided I would stay there, but not like with him. Like I would just stay at the house. Like there's a couch, you know, and I did. And it was short lived, but I did. I stayed on the couch and I remember like,
I'm here.
I just thought of a memory. I was just like, you know, cuddle with anyone. Like, just hold me. No. No, I just like stayed there. I was like the dude on the couch. I can't believe it. I was the dude on the couch.
Oh my God.
You know, I've hosted many a dude on my couch.
Many a dude.
Yes. But, and then at that point I was literally just selling drugs but like I'm a terrible drug dealer because I just like sell enough that like I can not pay for mine. So like I would, sell, like at the time I was selling, like there were these like mushrooms like in chocolate, and I would like had like a 2-week period where I just was like eating those like 3 meals a day and like just existing, like tripping, but like didn't tell anyone because I just wanted to live in this like alternate world. It was so weird. I was selling that. I was selling coke at the bars and did not realize that the police were watching, and like would come out of, I remember coming out of Coyote Joe's. I would go into the bathroom with someone, sell my gram, I think, you know, $60 or something. It was cheap in Prescott. And then, I don't know what the prices are actually now, so that might be standard. But anyways, I would come out, you can cut that part. I came out of the bar once, and one of the cops, I can still remember what he looked like. He was like, hi, Emily. And I was like, oh, shit. Like, he knows my name.
Yeah.
I don't know his name, but he knows my name. And they were really big on, like, busting all the, like, meth out there because there's a big problem in those small towns.
Yeah.
And so I think the only reason they kind of left me alone was because, like, I wasn't involved in that yet. But I felt that feeling. Like, I know why they call it heat.
Yeah.
I felt hot. Like, I was like, I got to get out of here. I'm going to end up in jail. Like, I just knew I was going to get arrested. And I didn't have any money. And so I, like, called my mom, who is 12-step friendly. I did not think I was an alcoholic at this point. I knew I had an eating disorder. I always knew that, right? But I did not know what an alcoholic was. I thought it was like the homeless guy under the bridge with the brown paper bag. It didn't look like that.
Except you're living
and
on
I
the
felt
couch.
like I could stop because I would stop, but I couldn't stay stopped. So I called my mom and I did what I perceived was lying. And I said, I'm an alcoholic. I need help, because I knew she would help me if I said that. And
You knew that because she was 12-step friendly.
because she was, I said, if I say I'm an alcoholic and I need help, she'll help me.
Why not say you have eating disorder?
I just had so much shame in that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
just held, it was like,
But the irony, right? Like,
so silly.
but you lied about this other thing.
But I wasn't even, yes.
Yeah.
So she flew me home, which was like just a sight for sore eyes. And at this point, mind you, oh gosh, this point, there had been a night where the sun was setting and I was changing. And there happened to be like a People magazine on my floor, and Jennifer Aniston had cut bangs. It was like a big thing.
No.
Yes, this is well before I ever entered cosmetology school. And I thought, I should have bangs. I was buzzed. I should also have bangs.
Oh, no.
I did not understand. People, first of all, don't ever cut your own bangs. Ever.
And that's coming from
It's just the first, it's like a
licensed
rule of thumb.
cosmetologist.
But there is a way to part out cutting bangs. You make a triangle here, and the way the hair falls is right. If you do this, you end up with a Dumb and Dumber bowl cut. So, okay, bangs. And then I kept trying to fix it, and I literally had like a shelf. And I began to bring back the trend of wearing a pomp. Which was not a trend at the time, because I just had to like pin them back or wear a hat. I would wear a hat. And it was so bad. Okay, so I had stayed with my aunt for like a night.
Wait, did your mom say anything when you got home about the bangs?
No, because like my mom, how do I explain my mom? She was an opera singer turned elementary school music teacher. She tried pot once and it burned her throat. She did not like it. She is an affirmation speaking. Like, my friends would like to do drugs and go to be around my mom because she was like a freaking cartoon character. Like, she would be like, we would like purposely like make ourselves fugly, and she'd be like, Emily, you're beautiful on the inside and the out. Like, very, like, literally, will still now, like, will not, like, will not.
Yeah.
So she would not even notice, you know. But like, I was a mess. Like, I had stayed with my aunt the night before I got on the plane. She has lupus. I stole like a bunch of her somas. Took a bunch of them on the airplane. I could barely walk. I walked on the airplane carrying a skateboard because now I was a skater, and probably like just sucked up and just looking rough. You know, I thought I was really cute. I mean, maybe I was. I don't know.
Did you think the bangs were good?
I just thought I looked good because I was skinny. Like, I was like, I'm skinny. I look good. Like, it doesn't. Nothing else matters.
I don't care if I look like Dumb and Dumber.
I think I was probably wearing a hat.
Yeah.
Or maybe I had them pinned. I don't know. I made it work. But and I found ways to use bobby pins. So I got home. I think I lasted a week in my mom's house. So now at this point, I'm coming off of a lot of drugs, and I'm not having access to alcohol, and I don't have money to go get alcohol. And I remember like looking up on the internet, because like there was internet. I think this was like 2004. And I looked up on the internet like home things you can get high on. And you could smoke peanut shells.
Oh, geez.
And I made my mom go to the store to get peanuts. But she got salted, and they had to be like unsalted. So I never smoked them, but I was like, you could trip on peanut shell. I don't know. I was just trying to like find something, you know. But so this was the state I was in. I was like willing to smoke peanut, and I was like, maybe, I don't know, whatever. And
Mom, they can't be salted.
It just like never occurred to me to like drink mouthwash. Nothing. It just didn't occur to me.
Yeah.
But I could have, you know. And I was angry. and like mean. I was really mean and really disrespectful. And my mom was like not having it because at this point she had been going to like Al-Anon and like tough love groups, like literally called tough love.
Oh no.
And using the jargon, and it was just, Oof. So she gave me, I was back in Boston. She gave me a T pass. The T is the public transportation, and sent me on my way. Like she gave me a 1-month T pass. And so then this is the point in which you and I have talked about before, like I technically was homeless. I did not have to sleep on the street, but
you didn't have anywhere to go.
I couch surfed. I stayed with my friend Leah, who actually was one of us and did not make it eventually, which is just sad. But I stayed with a friend of mine. She had a young son. I would drink all day. It was just kind of a gross existence.
So something that people ask me a lot, and I have a hard time answering, maybe you probably will too, but like people are like, well, where did you get your money? And I have a hard time answering because sometimes I don't remember. I don't know.
I do remember one thing I did for $25. That sounds really bad. It's not. Whoa. It's not sex.
No, just kidding.
No, I like looked. I don't remember if it was like on online or like in a personal. I took a bus at like 7 a.m, faced or hammered, to a college like survey about like abuse or something so weird. And I like lied about, they asked me all these intrusive questions and I just was like, I don't know. I just made up answers for $25.
Yeah.
So that and I was writing bad checks is what I was doing. But I was writing bad checks for like both alcohol and binge food. It was really weird. Because like Walgreens would like accept a check at the time.
Yeah.
And so I did that for as long as I could, and I did really weird things, and I would like manipulate people. Like I knew there was one guy I knew he liked me. I let him like pay for a hotel one night. I mean, he didn't stay with me. It was kind of like crazy. And then my friend Leah, who I was staying with, she had a neighbor who was like, I don't know if she was like a lesbian or transitioning or whatever, but like I knew she like loved me, and so I would like drink her alcohol.
Yeah,
I mean, never had to do anything, but like I basically like
found situations.
Just really was good at like using people.
Yeah, because it's just interesting. People will say like
it doesn't feel good to do that. It feels gross. No, but I just need what I want to need, and like. Yep. So I just did, you hustle. You hustle. Is what you do. And thankfully, luckily, I know it can be a lot worse. I know people have to do a lot worse things than I did. But I think the turning point was one of my last nights in Boston. I knew I was going to rehab at that point. We had gone out and I got really drunk. And I just had a very specific moment where I was sitting at this bar in Boston and I saw the whole bar with all the alcohol and it just didn't feel like enough. I was so afraid there. I ordered I had a backup drink.
I totally
get that. Because I didn't want to have this one be empty and then have nothing else. It was just weird. It felt like that panic.
Yeah.
And then apparently I stole a bunch of jackets that and I woke up on the floor of my friend's place passed out in jackets from people. Poor people, and then I took the tea back to my tea stop so my mom could pick me up, and I got propositioned because the guy thought I was a prostitute.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was like, oh.
Were you wearing all the jackets?
I was not wearing the jackets. I was probably wearing a very short skirt.
Yeah.
And very tall boots, being sassy. But it was I looked probably, I had been drinking all the night. So it was just one of those moments where it's this is not you. But it was.
Right.
That's exactly who you are right now.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so weird. It was so weird. And then, so the breaking point for me was I had been in Boston. My friend's boyfriend got over me staying on their couch.
Yeah.
Literally, who wants that? And then I stayed with a friend's mom, and she was pretty oblivious to what I was doing. And she had gone out of town. And I would wake up at 7 a.m. and swear I wasn't going to and at this point I had lost my access to drugs and alcohol, and I'd swear I wasn't gonna get into the binging and purging, and by 7 a.m. I was binging and purging, and it was 20, 30 times a day, all day. Just really in a prison, really aggressive. I had really scary things happen. When I had first started my eating disorder, I would use a toothbrush to make myself throw up, and there was a time when I was staying with my dad, and it snapped, the head snapped off. And I just had this
in your throat?
In my throat. And I had this this is so gross, sorry guys. But I had this flash of being dead on his tile bathroom floor and my dad having to find me like that. And I think I was mostly like I didn't want them to know I was like throwing up. It was so sad. But I reached into my mouth, into my throat, and was like, I don't know how, because it's, it's wet in there, and pulled the broken toothbrush out and like didn't die.
Oh my God.
But it was just like
stuff like that.
My solution to that was like, I can't use a toothbrush anymore.
Yeah.
So and then I realized I didn't need anything because like my stomach was like trained to throw up food. So anyways, it's very graphic and gross. But at that point I was so like deep in that, and like it was just awful. And I wanted to end it. Like I was like, I'm going to kill myself. I can't stop. I cannot stop. And I like went into the kitchen, picked up a butcher knife, did not kill myself because I was too scared. Mm-hmm. And like I did the thing, they say that thing in program, like, oh, we did what all the tough guys do, and you call your mommy. Mm-hmm. And I was really honest. And I just said, I have an eating disorder. I cannot stop, and I'm going to die. She's like, what do you mean you're going to die? I'm like, I'm going to die if I don't get help. And she was like, let me call you right back. And she's like, I will help you go to treatment, but it has to be a 12-step based treatment facility. And I was like, I don't care. Like, I don't care. I need to go somewhere where they take everything away from me, and I don't have control over my options. Like because at first like they wanted to send me someplace in Florida where you like live in an apartment with other people, and I started crying because I was like, I can't be responsible to make my own meals. Like it was like so, I was like, no, you don't understand. Like I can't do that right now. Like it was really like depleted, and I had nowhere else to go. It was literally next stop was going to be live on the streets for real. Like. So a couple of days later, I was out back to Arizona. I was out to Wickenburg.
Good old Wickenburg.
I feel like, Anyway, so I went out to Wickenburg. I went to Rosewood Ranch. I thought I knew what I needed.
Well, and Rosewood is a dual diagnosis eating disorder and alcohol.
Eating disorder, and like and if you were, and I still didn't know I was an alcoholic. I really didn't. Like it was, and honestly, the withdrawal of like, it wasn't even just the drugs and alcohol. It was like that life, like knowing that people were out at the bars and this was the bar they were at that night because it was this drink special, like killed me. Like that FOMO. But it was like addiction to that as well. And so I like marched in there and told them that like I needed to be out by a certain date because I was going to go to Reggae on the River. And they were like, yeah, you're not going to be out by that date. And like, that's not how this works at all. And, but thankfully, I knew we didn't have like money. My family didn't have a lot of money, and I knew this was like it. Like, if I'm going to go to treatment, this is my one chance. Because there are people there who don't take it seriously. I mean, people go back and back and back and back. And I just felt like I had good treatment there. I had a great psychiatrist who like honored and respected my intelligence. Like I knew he's like, you're smart. And like I had therapy before because I had been in trouble, and they were terrible. Like I had a woman tell me I was a terrible person. Like, I mean, at like 15, like just like, not good. There are bad.
So
I had like a it like rubbed me. I just had bad experiences. Like where this guy was, I feel like him being there, because I didn't like my counselor because she reminded me of my mom. And I was like, I have to not have her. And they were like, maybe you're supposed. And I was like, I can't. But I did. I ended up staying with her. But he changed it. Like that one psychiatrist treating me that way was like a game changer. I was like, so okay.
Cool. I had that person
Dr.
too.
Karp. I don't know his first name, but I should like write him an email.
Anyways,
and I stayed 47 days there, and because it was a all-female facility where you don't leave, and they were like, you cannot leave unless you're an alcoholic. You can go to a meeting 2 times a week, and there will be other people there of the opposite sex. And so I like raised my hand, and I'm like, I could say I'm an alcoholic, but I was an alcoholic, you know? So just denial. Like for me, like my disease lives in denial. So I went there, I got out of treatment, I went back up to Prescott for the night, relapsed. Right out of rehab.
The first after 47 days.
I went to the bar I used to work at and was bragging about 47 days sober. And then I found this guy and asked him to go get me some Coke and drank. And then I proceeded to drink like 3 Captain Cokes. And, and then I partied with your ex that night. And he let me crash on his couch because I didn't know where I was going. And and then I drove down to Phoenix the next day, like in a tizzy because like I didn't really sleep there. And like I was coming off of cocaine and like
Were you freaking out about not being sober and all that?
I was freaking out that they weren't going to let me in. Like I had nowhere to go. The reason I went to aftercare, I forgot to say that. So after treatment, they recommended I go to aftercare. They put me in a place in Orange County. And I literally went because I didn't know what else to do. Like I had nowhere to go. Like I couldn't go home. Prescott wasn't really home anymore. Like it kind of was, but I just didn't I don't know. I just took direction. And I called, there was a lady who worked there as well who did like their intake, and she was awesome too. There was a couple of key people there who really like were on the level. You know what I mean?
In the Orange County place?
No, in Rosewood. Who really like made it so I felt like respected.
Yeah.
Because I'm a smart girl. Like one of my things, an old story for me is like people think I'm dumb. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I cannot stand that. Like,
yeah, me too.
So yes, and sometimes people do think you're dumb, you know, and that's okay.
Well,
but
it feels like, I mean, that's the thing we talk about too, is like our behavior looks really dumb. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
you know.
And like when you're not sober and you're not fully with it, like you are kind of spacey.
Yeah.
And flaky and like don't know what's going on. So anyways, on the way down there, I was like binging and purging on Cliff Bars. Like it was so gross. Like I just didn't know what to do. I was like spinning, and I called the lady, and she was like, "Just get on the plane." You know what I mean? Like she was like talking to her, and I was
Orange County.
The Rosewood
Rosewood lady.
Because I didn't have anyone else to call. I was like, I don't know what to do. This happened, and she's like, I will talk to them. We will figure it out.
Yeah,
so I like in a tizzy. I get off the highway to get up to the Phoenix airport, and I like pull to a red light, and I pulled behind a car. And all this is going on. Like, I'm spinning out of control. Like, I'm flicking cigarette out of the window. It's coming back in. The cherry's burning me. And I'm like, that's my state of mind. And I pull up behind this car, and there's a bumper sticker that says, "Trust the process." And, like, I just got really calm and, like, felt like, okay, like, just get to the air. Like, I didn't even feel like I could, like, get to the airport, but just get to the airport. You know, drop off the rental car, go to the airplane. And I did. And I wound up in Orange County, and I ended up at a like an aftercare facility. It was like a sober living / but it was for eating disorders as well. It's called Rebecca's House, and I was there for a couple months. I got a get well job, stamping tickets at Guitar Center, and I literally was getting paid like $7.50 an hour. And
tell everybody what a get well job is.
Okay, get well job is like, and not everybody does this because some people have careers, but it's like when you get sober, you just get a job to have a job. It could be anything, but it's usually doesn't pay a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something kind of mindless.
Entry level.
Entry level, like, not that there's anything wrong with that at all, even if that's like somebody's actual job. But it's like, at that point, that's what I can handle.
You just take what you can get. You take what you
just
can
get
get
a job to go somewhere and make some money. Because I didn't have any. Like, and so I did that. I got really lucky to get plugged in with a bunch of young people who were in 12-step program, and they all had like a couple years, which was nice because they were like pretty solid at that time. Well, I thought they were. I thought that was so long. I was like, they graduated. They're sober. And I started going to meetings and socializing, and, you know, they call it going to the meeting after the meeting, where you go to coffee or dinner. We used to go dancing in LA, or we would go and just do all these things. And I started really like doing the deal. I had commitments, had sponsees. And then like...
Wait, was that when I knew you?
It was before. It was like...
Oh,
and it was like... So I had a relapse at like 6 months, and then I got 2 years.
Okay.
So we met during that time.
At the 2... Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is kind of when our paths crossed, which is
wild.
Yeah, and I'm living in... Prescott. Got whatever. I'm in Prescott.
I'm super sober.
Yeah, you're super sober. I am...
there was a convention, right?
There was a convention, right?
So Joanne? They came back with Joanne, right?
I don't remember if Joanne was there, but
Why did I go?
So there was a convention in Prescott, and at the time, I am dating... I'm a piercer at a tattoo shop, and I'm dating the lead tattoo artist.
Who I used to party with.
Right.
Whose couch I crashed on the night before I went to Phoenix.
He was a big partier.
But he's also like such a... like.
He's
a great friend.
He's a great friend, and not
date him.
Not a great boyfriend, but a really great,
he's a good heart.
Friend.
Yeah, he's a good heart
guy.
Love the guy. Still
we love you, Donnie. Sorry.
Are you saying his name?
Okay. So you come to town, and I find out you're sober, and he introduces us as this guy you partied with, and
also I was getting tattooed by him.
Right. Oh, I was looking up your tattoos.
Yes,
that's right.
Which was so funny because he's like, "Oh, I had my girlfriend," and I was kind of bummed. I was like, "Your girlfriend? Like, who is this chick?" Like, and like just knowing his track record with like having multiple girlfriends, I was like, oh God, is this girl gonna be like some crazy, like jealous, oh, who's this girl, and like mess it up? You know, I was just like, but you did a good job. They looked like what I wanted.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think
she was pulling images from something I wanted.
Yeah. Luckily, I'm competent enough to use Google.
But I didn't know that. Like, I didn't know who I was dealing with. But then we met, and I was like, oh, she's really cool. And Ashley was blonde.
I was blonde.
And you do pull off blonde really well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's better when I see the sunlight.
It's like platinum. It was platinum blonde. So you pulled the tattoo images. We met. I was there was I even there for a convention? I think I must have been. I think I must have gone for a convention. I think, you know what I think it was? I think Kylie was speaking.
So it was a 12-step convention, and we met.
Like a young people's convention.
Young people's convention.
And I was doing all that stuff. Like,
yeah.
All the fun things.
I was not super.
Were you sober?
Yeah.
Oh, you were.
But I was not super connected.
Oh, we went to the convention together, and then we went to the bars. Remember? But we were sober. We didn't drink.
Yeah, we did. So, right.
We're like, do you want to go downtown?
But see, that was the thing about that town was that I was in the same, I had a similar experience, except I was sober in Prescott, which was I partied at the bars with everybody.
So fun.
It was so fun. There was that whole lifestyle. But I was sober. I wasn't drinking. I was definitely playing with fire.
Right.
Eventually it burned me. But, I had that same experience that you had where it was like wanting to be a part of this whole scene.
It was fun. I mean, I loved to go to, I thought I was so cool and mysterious because I would go to the bar alone and just be there and run into my friends, but thought I was so mature and what's the word? Worldly, because I wasn't afraid to I just go and play the video game or read a book or, you know what I mean? Just be that person who, that felt like confidence to me.
Yeah.
And, but also the real truth is I liked to go to the bar alone because I had to be accountable to nobody.
Right.
Nobody was looking for me. I was the queen of, if I went with people to the bar of I'll be right back, I'm going to the bathroom, and then not return.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was the kind of place you could do that.
It was the kind of place. You slip out the back door.
Yeah.
Thinking of Mox.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one bar. It was our home group. I swear the bars were different home group
They
meetings.
were. They
different
were.
nights of the week. They were.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, there
Thursdays
was a bar
was
there.
Irish, we go to
Brian's Irish Pub.
Ryan's
okay, wait.
Irish Pub.
There was a bar there. I don't think it's still there. It was called Prescott Live.
Yes.
And it was
yes.
It was penny drinks.
Yeah.
It was you pay a penny, women, and you get an entire alcoholic beverage.
Yeah.
With no cover.
I wonder what the point of, what's the goal with penny drinks?
The men pay. They just want people in.
Yeah, no, I get that, but I'm saying
It's stupid. Maybe you pay $1 for the tip, but I would be if I give them a dime, it's 1,000% tip. No, I would give $1. I think. I don't know. I probably didn't.
The mathematics.
No, it was just go get belligerent for basically free.
Yeah. But that's the point. We want everybody to get super belligerent. But so.
Oh, and it was a weird dance pit.
Oh God, I think they had closed that by the time I was there. So, what happened? So you were sober.
So we went there.
Then I moved in with you. So
tell that part. Because that's the part, there's a connector part. We met once.
That's right. We
got
met.
along.
Okay, yes.
I don't even know if we kept in touch or anything like that.
I don't know how
did we? Was there MySpace maybe?
Probably.
What was your MySpace name?
Little Miss Murder.
My MySpace name was Ambassador from Kick Your Assider.
Oh, yes!
Oh my God. Sorry, that was loud.
No, that was awesome. Okay.
I just feel like everybody has a secret past MySpace life. And it's
do.
If you didn't have the word Lil in it,
Little Miss Murder.
You were Little Miss Murder.
Yeah. If someone stopped me
your suicide
at a bar.
girls
Yeah. Someone stopped me at a bar and was like, "Are you Little Miss Murder?" I was like, "This has gone too far."
You were Insta famous before there was Insta famous.
I know.
That's kind of crazy.
I know, because I was into the suicide girl stuff. Don't look that up.
Oh my God, that was.
So that's right. So our connection was, I found out that my ex-boyfriend that we were talking about, he had cheated on me with another one of my friends, and it was
it's your closest friend, wasn't it?
It wasn't the one that he ended up being with.
Oh.
Oh yeah. No,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. No, that was
Donnie.
Yeah, I know.
Dirty dog.
You dirty dog. Yeah, no, it was another one. It was a friend who I moved into my house, this girl, Vanessa, and we had gone to treatment together, and she was out and needed help, and I moved her in, bought her a bed, and was taking care of her, and then I left to go back east for a week.
You don't leave them. You don't leave them together.
I know. Well, but that's who I am.
I know.
So, and I learned that. I learned a lot of good things from that relationship. And one was that I'm the kind of person that I have to have friends I can leave
my boyfriend or
Yes,
husband with
yes.
because I'm just not capable of having that level of concern.
Well, yes, and I feel like at
Yeah.
this point in life,
Yeah, but it just was like one of
a
those
little
things
different,
where
yeah.
I'm not capable of having those friends where it's like I trust him, but not to leave him alone with.
Yeah.
So like that's just not who I am. So I don't have those friends.
so you left. Vanessa
So I left.
does Donnie.
there was a lot of, and you know what was crazy? It was one of those things where I just knew, like no one ever told me.
Yeah,
And
you
I
know.
came back, and I won't get into the story, but it literally like hit me like a wall, and I just
Ew.
knew. And then she left town, and I ended up calling her for months, and I picked up the phone. She had called Donnie, and I picked up his phone, and I was like, I had no idea they were talking or whatever. So anyway, it's this long story. So anyway, I found
hurtful for people to do stuff.
yeah, and so
annoying.
that had happened, and then something else had happened. Oh, I found him in bed with Jill, and I don't think they were hooking up, but they were in bed together, and I was just like
kind
over
of
it.
Inappropriate when you're dating somebody else.
Yeah. I just was over it. So I was like, I'm going to see. So I don't know if I called you.
You asked me. I don't really remember the conversation, but I do remember. I think you asked me if you could come stay with me, and I said, and I was like, yeah, like when? Because I think my roommate and I shared a 1-bedroom apartment with like a den.
Yeah.
And she and I shared a bed. Like it was.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
And she had started dating one of our friends, and they were moving in together. Like
That's
pretty quickly.
right.
And I was like, yeah, actually, like
because I really wanted to move to Southern California because Donnie's from Southern California, so that's how I had visited, and I really wanted to move to Southern California with him, and he didn't want to go, and so then when I decided to run away,
Yes, and you were like, oh, you asked if you come stay with me, and I was like, yeah, like I'm really not. Well, I've gotten better, but I don't pause to think about things, which is fine. But like, I just say yes a lot, or I have in the past, where then I'm like, oh man, like why didn't I like. But I was like, yeah, and I was like, when would you be here? You're like, well, it would be like the end of the week or something like that. It was like very soon.
Oh, it was.
But I was like crazy enough to be like, sure, come on in.
Oh yeah.
And I just thought we would like share the big room, and you were like, oh no, I'll take the den, and you didn't really fit in the den, but you stayed there.
Oh no, the doors closed on the end of my queen bed, like they touched.
Because it was not meant to be.
Yeah, it was not meant to be
housing a queen bed.
Yeah,
but yes. So like a week later, I think
later.
you showed up with your dad and the 70-pound Rottweiler.
Yeah, and no car because my car broke.
Oh yeah, your car.
My car. It's why I was using the egg. I was using your
My car. It was a little Geoprism.
Yeah. So that was that.
Stick shift go-kart.
And then we were living together, and we were just hot messes in early sobriety.
Yes.
I mean that was it was so much fun, but
It was fun.
It was fun
because it was like I finally had someone. Like I don't think I had like that. I like didn't have someone like that person to like match my crazy.
Yeah.
And so you
I matched your
and I
crazy.
like lost Elaine, to Chad because they were like. Now they were like,
Your
and then they got
roommate,
pregnant, like But then you matched my crazy. In fact, it was like,
I might have outdone your crazy.
yeah, you definitely outdid my crazy.
Yeah. No,
Remember, like I would like find things out, and I'd be like, Ashley.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. You would. Yeah.
But it was kind of awesome because I felt very comfortable to be.
Well, and you introduced me to 12-step in Southern California,
Yeah.
which was such an amazing experience
I think
for me.
I like connected you with your first sponsor.
You connected
because I had a commitment.
You
remember?
connected
I was
me
the
with
matchmaker.
You connected me with my first sponsor, and that was the meeting where I met my husband.
Oh yeah, so I'm responsible for all
You're
your
responsible
greatness.
for my whole life.
I am.
And
I tell my husband that too.
Yeah.
I'm responsible for you being a person.
Yeah. No, I mean
No.
it's true.
No.
So
but I met my husband at that meeting too.
Yes.
Weird.
Yeah, it was a big meeting, the talk show meeting.
Yep.
And so we had, what I like to talk about, and it's fun to talk about this with you because you were there for it. But we, in early sobriety, we were really young, and we got sober really young. And I was 19.
I wasn't that young. I was young, but
You were in your late 20s.
oh yeah, because that's what. Yeah, I was.
Yeah,
in my
you were in
20s.
your-
Okay,
you
I
were
was
in your
young.
20s.
I was young.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was that young, but I was.
Yeah.
Now looking back. And
Yeah,
being
but like
of this age,
so many people have the concern that when they get sober, they're not going to have a good time.
Yeah.
And I think that if I could flash back to like all the things that we did. We one time went with our other friend to a nightclub in Hollywood, and we danced all night.
sober rave, or was this a different thing?
I don't remember. It was.
We did go to we were not. They were not sober. We were sober.
We were
to a
sober.
rave.
Yeah, we went to a rave.
Like in some underground warehouse situation.
Yeah, and like it had a blast.
Like Joanne was like giving like people who were rolling light shows.
Yeah, our
our friend was like a raver back in her day, and she was like really good at like
light shows.
Like she,
and I was
all
like,
these people were tripping. I'm jealous. I can't do that.
Yeah. Oh, there's all these people who are rolling, and she's sober doing light shows, and it's all of us together. We had a blast, and then I was driving at like 3 a.m.
Ashley crashed the car.
I was driving my car, and it's raining, and we're in Hollywood. I'm driving my car, and I look over to I'm really hungry,
and there was a hot dog stand.
There was a hot dog.
We did end up getting hot dogs.
We did. Well, we had to because I looked at the hot dog stand, and my hands looked at the hot dog stand too because they
threw the car into the curb.
Threw the car into the curb and popped the tire right in front of the hot dog stand. I didn't know how to change a tire.
We called Wang.
Yeah, and we called one of our friends, and he came in. I don't know why I didn't call AAA, but we called a friend. It was raining, and then we got hot dogs.
Yeah,
and those were like, I mean, so many fun times. Figuring out how to be adults was just.
Oh my God!
But so another thing that happened that was really interesting too was long list of them, was the night that we almost decided to drink again.
Right.
We were in the bathroom getting ready to go to your commitment for you to take 2 years sober.
2 years at my Monday night meeting.
And we were over it. We were like, let's go get drunk. Let's do this. And
I think I was just really uncomfortable because like all the like food stuff had come up for me again.
Yeah.
And I was like I wasn't engaged in it, or I was, but I felt really uncomfortable in my skin because I had probably gained a few pounds, or who knows what it was. But I just felt like, I remember thinking like, I didn't get sober to gain weight. You know what I mean? Like, because it was very important to me. Like people say like eating disorders are not about weight, but it kind of was for me. Like I really equated like my value and worth and like attractability and like any failure or success in my life was I felt like I got treated differently. I can't even explain it. So it was like, there was an element of that. And yes, I was like, F this, like, let's go. We were like, let's go to the bar.
Yeah, we were like, let's go to the bar.
And also just the prospect of like going to the bar and like getting all that stupid drunk attention and like getting filled with false self-esteem, like that it's a drug.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, fill me up with feel-good stuff, you know?
Yeah.
But then I think I was like, okay, well, let me take my chip first and then we'll go.
Yeah. I was like, come on, let's go. And then you're like, no, I have a commitment at this meeting. I'm like, ugh, fine.
Yeah, I got friends coming.
Yeah,
I got, like Angie
friends
bringing flowers. She always brings flowers.
Yeah, and you were like, all right, fine, we'll go after. I'm like, all right, fine.
But then we didn't go.
We didn't go. We didn't get loaded. But there were so many little things.
But that doesn't matter what you think. It matters what you do.
No, like that's exactly the
Yeah.
point, is that it didn't. And it also speaks to being connected to that community, having a commitment, being connected, showing up, and people knowing what's going on for you, because neither one of us would have been sober if we had not had those people waiting for us, that community. Right. I mean, we would have gone.
For sure.
We would have gone.
For sure.
So we, that's one of those amazing things, like, seconds and inches, right?
100%.
And then you, eventually we weren't living together, and things, we met. You met your I was with you when you met your husband.
I met my husband. I had a commitment at that talk show meeting, and I was like the host. It was like the secretary commitment, but like basically you like interview people. But like I was sitting up there, and like he walked into the meeting late in the back of the room. At the time, I was like really into the look like you had just been to jail. And he had like the Dickie shorts and the socks pulled up and all the tattoos and the buzz cut. And I was just like, I would like to hang out with that guy.
Yes.
And we did talk that night, but like we didn't hang out that night. And then like I think we had like exchanged numbers, and I had tried to text him and he like didn't text me back. I did not realize he did not have text messaging, because at the time it was like not everybody had text messaging.
Right.
And I was like, this guy, like what a joke. Like he totally acted interested. And I loved texting because like I'm a good writer, and I could be really witty and like cute and like flirt with, I don't know, I thought that I loved the banter. Like I just did.
Yeah.
And then I ran into him again like a couple weeks later at that meeting, and we did hang out, and I really like thought we were just going to have like a very short-lived one night time of hanging out.
Yeah.
And then like we kept dating, and now it's been like 12 years of a one-night stand.
Longest one-night stand
ever. No, but we just like clicked in a way, but it was also really like, I knew that it was going to be really toxic too, because it was. We were both really sick at that point of our lives. Like,
lied about his age.
Yeah, he lied about his age. He said he was older than he was because he thought I was like younger than I was, and I'm actually like almost 8 years older than him. And it was just very like Sid and Nancy from the start. Like really like, good when it's good, not good when it's not good. We ended up getting loaded together.
Yeah.
I had like a moment in a noon meeting where I just felt like God would not be able to like help me with my eating disorder stuff. Like it would never get better. And I, within a week, was loaded because it was just like the God I believed in was still like, or the higher power I believed in was still like this punishing thing. Like, oh, things are going to get, just you wait, little girl. Like, just you wait. When things get good, that's when we're going to pull the rug. That's when things are going to come crumbling.
So back to
and
those original beliefs.
I lived that. Well, I never lost them. I don't think, even in that 2 years of sobriety, 2.5 years. So I was like sponsoring like 4, and we relapsed in Prescott. Or I did. No, you know what? I smoked pot in Orange County, but I drank in Prescott, and it was like oblivion. And we stayed with Don. We stayed with your ex and his now, I don't know if they're married, but his person, baby mom.
My former close friend.
Yeah. They've got kids together. Like, I mean, we stayed with them, and like, it was just like crazy. Like I had to like tell all my sponsees I wasn't sober, which was like really heartbreaking to one in particular who, that was really hard. And it was just like on and cracking, we were off and running in all the things that like we weren't going to do. Like, we started doing hard drugs and like, I mean, literally garbage disposal, but like my husband's drug of choice was speed. And I am a person who will do what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, I really do think that like God spared me by not putting a heroin addict in my life because I've done heroin a handful of times and it was literally everything. Like, I am such a thinker and like moving all the time and it really did, it was like the answer. So like, I think had somebody I dated or been spending time with been into that, like I probably would have died. Like I just really have this strong feeling like, because I would feel like, why am I doing speed? I don't even like speed. Like, but like it was just what, but I did it, alcoholically because that's what was there, and my husband, Mike, was like, when we were just drinking, he's 6'2", almost 6'3". He's a big guy.
Yeah.
He's like 200 pounds. Like he's a big guy.
And
he can drink a lot more than I can. And I also like, because of my eating disorder, like I would like, sometimes I'd make myself throw up the alcohol. Regardless, like I could not keep up with him with alcohol. I would get full, I would just like be like ready to move on to something else. And so when we started doing drugs together, he was like, had a very rude awakening because he probably just thought like it would be the same.
Right.
And he would get to do more than me, but it's not like that for me with drugs.
Yeah.
I am like, we will split this right down the middle to the gram. Like, I don't care. Like, and I'm just like really fiendy when it comes to drugs. So anyways, we did a lot of stuff together and things got real ugly and real white trash and it was not cute, and then it's like suddenly I'm, 30 years old thinking like this is not cute anymore, and things got really bad between us to the point where we broke up, because he is a much different alcoholic. He's like you, like he's a hope to die, like suicide mission.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just want to go have a good time. But we would like stay in our little studio, like, ugh, it was gross. He was like, thought that was, I'm like, it's not a party when it's not partying when it's just you.
I thought it was.
That's not partying. Partying is going to the bar.
Yeah, because you're that's your personality.
I want to go be with the people.
Yeah,
and
he and I are like
very
that.
Like,
yeah, let's do this.
But then he's like, but I don't want to share, and I don't want to like pay extra, like because it's expensive to drink out. Like you can get a 40 ounce or like a tall boy for like $1.50 down at Circle K. Why not do that? If like, why would you go to Hennessy's and get like a $9 beer? You know what I mean? So, but for me,
very
it's
different mentality.
Yes. So we broke up, and then I thought he was the problem, because he's a really Jekyll and Hyde alcoholic, and I thought he was the problem, and I thought once he's gone, like, I can figure it out. But like, it turns out that like, I'm still an alcoholic. Like when I was with him and he was drinking, it was like I became the codependent. Even though I was drinking and using alcoholically, I was still like counting his.
Yeah.
Especially with the drinking, and then.
So you're trying to fix him.
Well, I was trying to like stop him from crossing over because he would like hit a certain number. Like if he had 3 tall boys, it was okay. But if he had the 4th tall boy, he would want to go drive up to Santa Ana.
Yeah.
And at one point we were like trying not to do drugs. We were just drinking and smoking. So it was just like very sick. It was like trying to fit into just insanity is what it is. It's insanity. So I started going back to meetings, but like I couldn't stay sober in between meetings, which was very humbling because I just thought it was like that when I got loaded. It was that cliche thing where you're like, well, if it gets bad enough, I know where to go because I've done this before. But the problem is with that is that A, you don't always get to choose when you get, if or when you get sober again.
Yeah.
And B, like, it doesn't work that way. Alcoholism doesn't work that way. It doesn't give you a choice. So it's like, yeah, you might be ready to come back, but you may not be able to stay sober.
And that's what you experienced.
It is, because also I came back and I was like, it had been a couple years and like there was new faces and I felt really like full of ego. Like, don't you know who I am? I was really active in this program. Like, I didn't want to hang out after. I didn't want to like have to be the new person. Like, it just sucked. And so I would like go to the meeting and then come home and sit on my couch and twiddle my thumbs and then like walk down to Hennessy's because I lived walking distance and go get like trashed, you know? And then I start, you know, just doing things. And then finally, eventually I started putting, I did this for like 3 or 4 months, you know, just in and out, like new all the time. And then finally, I don't know, like a bunch of people died, actually. I was like, what happened? Like a friend of mine, oh yeah, that's right. My friend Nicole passed away. But I didn't get sober right away, but that was like shocking. So I had a friend, she had been sober 4 years and had gotten loaded. And she came over and spent the night one night. And like we both sat on the couch and talked about getting sober again and like being like, ugh, like, cause we knew what it took. So it was like I don't have the energy, but like, I know I'm going to have to come back. Like both of us both sat there. We had like, both had our little things of Ben and Jerry's ice cream and like just hung out and like had a really good time and like chatted. She slept over, left the next morning for work. And then like, I would say like a week or 2 later, I got a call that she had passed away. So she had been with the wrong people, with the wrong person, and was in a hotel room and was found dead and didn't show up to work one day and they were looking for her. And it was
alcohol, drug related.
It was drug related.
Yeah.
And it was jarring. Yeah. It was like the feeling of the way the disease works where it's like you can, that 50-50, like it could have been me.
Yeah.
Like we're sitting on the couch and it's like, it was very humbling to be like, how does like one of us get plucked and like it's not me? Like how did that happen, you know? It was just really like crazy.
Eye-opening.
Like eye-opening. And also like I don't know. Like it's just something about like a young pretty girl dying. Like I don't know, it just felt different. So then she passed. I got drunk that night because that's what you do when somebody dies and you're not sober. And then I was like still going to meetings. And then like, I think Jimmy passed away that summer. I mean, I wasn't super close with him, but it was just like another young person I'd known my whole sobriety. And he was like very charismatic. And like, I came back from my cousin's wedding in Scottsdale actually. And I had gone there sober. I think I had like almost a month sober.
Oh, wow.
But my whole family, like all my cousins, they were like partying and having the best time. And I ended up drinking. And I got wasted. Oh my God, I got so sick. And I had to go to the wedding so sick. And like, it was just like, I came home and I didn't drink again. I think I took a pill. But after that, like my sobriety date is September 25th. So that wedding was like September 9th. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wait, why isn't my sobriety date that? But then, and I went to Prescott after the wedding and got loaded there too. But I came home and I was like, I was thinking about it at like year 5 or something. And I was like, wait, why is my sobriety date? But then I remembered I had like been given like a pill. I didn't know what it was. And I like took it one night and like freaked out because I didn't know what it was. I think it was a Xanax. So I ended up getting very calm. Thankfully, the panic attack subsided. But, and then from that point, like I remember I had a roommate and I remember like I was having a panic attack because I was like, I just took the antidote. If I die, you need to call. Like, I mean, she was like, whoa, dude. And so I ended up putting time together. And what happened for me was that in putting the time together, I like experienced what can only be described as grace, which has been explained to me as like an undeserved gift. And I had like a sudden like spiritual awakening or spiritual experience where I realized if I don't keep myself sober, I can't stay sober on my own, but something's keeping me sober. And whatever that is can't be punishing. Because if it's punishing, it wouldn't be keeping me. Like, it was like this weird knowing. Yeah. And my whole concept of what God was or my higher power, like source, energy, whatever, shifted. Like to the point to where when those old thoughts would creep up, and even can sometimes, I mean, not so much now, but like those old thoughts of like, oh, things, hold your breath. I'm like, oh no, I don't believe that anymore. Like I was able to actually like tell myself, I don't believe in that anymore. Like I don't believe in a punishing God anymore. And I like suddenly felt like God could. in every area of my life, including food stuff, even if there's a struggle. Like, I just knew that it was possible. Like, I just knew that, like, anything was possible because here I was unable to stay sober, and now I'm staying sober, and that's weird. Like, I'm not doing that.
Now you're almost 10 years sober.
No, it's really weird. And then my husband, you know, we had been split apart, but we had a dog together. The dog really, like, kept us in contact.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm not going to be one of those, like, weird people who doesn't let him see his dog, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And he started coming back around, and I was just kind of like done. Like, I didn't want to be with him. And I told him, like, I was really emotionally shut down from him. And he was like desperate for sobriety. And he started, like, I'd gone to like somebody's like sober birthday and at Linda's, where every party was at that time. And I told him I was there because he was like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm here. And he was like, I didn't think he would really come. He was like, right, he drove a motorcycle at the time. I was like, he's not going to come. Like, but he came. But then, like, by the time he got there, I was like, we hung out for a little bit, but I was getting ready to leave because someone was moving away. We were going to like karaoke. We were doing something. And it was really hard for me not to change my plans to like babysit him. But I like also had learned that like, the part of the reason he couldn't get sober is because I kept throwing a pillow under his body. Like, every time he was about to, like, I was there, you know, I was the safety net. And I went to karaoke. It was like, hurt my skin, you know? And he met a guy who he saw him, and Linda gave them her bedroom and sat in her living room, and they worked the steps on her bed. And he cried and opened up, and like, I mean, it saved his life, like, working with him that night. It's really wild. And he's a hope to die drunk. And he had his own experience. And then weird, like, you know, I used to tell people, I'm done. I am done. We are done. And then, like, the universe has a sense of humor, and then I married him. Then we got pregnant and we got married. And he's sober almost 10 years, too, because his sobriety date's November, because I'll always be more sober than him. Always and forever.
Always and forever. And what's crazy about, I mean, your husband is a different person. Like,
it's totally different. People know him now they cannot rap. They don't, like, I couldn't even explain him to them.
No. And
he's very dark when he was loaded, and he was very angry.
He was very scary. He was very, very.
He had a lot of like childhood trauma and like like horrendous things happen in his like teen, like just things that like people shouldn't go through. And like, I think it made him, and then, you know, his parents went through this terrible divorce. Like, I just think he was had so much anger to work through.
Yeah.
I mean, before he and I met, he would get in like fistfights all the time. Like, really hurt people. Yeah. He's never been in a fist fight since we've been together, but like, I've seen it almost happen.
Yeah.
When we were like first started dating.
Yeah.
Like, we just had like a code. I'm like, reel it in. Like, it was like, because I was scared. I'm like, he could really hurt somebody.
No,
like,
he's a big,
he's strong.
He's a big guy.
He's a man.
He has really, you know, watching him.
That's the thing. Having a front row seat to that has been the most like incredible thing, because that's like, it's harder to see it in yourself.
Right, but you can see it in others.
But I can see it in him. And even like before, like, yes, I was a hot mess, but I could still pull off a bit of a double life. I could still be really, like, I knew because of where I grew up and how I grew up, like, how to say the right things and to present a certain way and to be socially acceptable and to like, I mean, up until a point, but like, I could like turn it on. Like, I'm an actress, you know what I mean? Like, I'm a good liar. Like, maybe not now. I can't really lie now, but I was a very good like performer at like that, but he was straight up had no interest in even pretending to be normal.
Yeah, that's how I was.
Yeah, like there was no interest in like, he wouldn't even lie. Like, his mom would be like, you know, he'd get in trouble. I shouldn't tell his story, but anyways, his mom always jokes that it was like, she's like, well, he would like leave when I told him not to, but he would tell me he was leaving, tell me we were like, nope, I'm going here, bye. Like, just really honest, but also that's scary because you can't stop a person like that.
No, it was interesting. It's funny you say that. My mom once, she found, I had a big dictionary under my bed.
It's not what I thought you were going to say. Holy moly. Oh my God. Okay, keep going. You should keep that in.
Cut that.
No, don't cut that.
Okay, don't cut that.
So good.
I had a big dictionary under my bed. Why, I don't know. And I had a bunch of meth on it. Oh. And my mom, she finds this and she does what parents do, which I do it now too, which is, what is this? You know, the whole what it is. And you're like, what is this? What is this? And I'm like, it's meth. And then we just had this moment where she just looks at me.
Oh.
She's like,
you're not going to even try to lie?
Yeah.
I was a liar.
Yeah.
Like, my mom would ask me what that funny smell was coming from my room, and I would tell her it was herbal incense.
Right.
It was pot.
Right. That's like a whole other thing. I was like,
but she like believed. See, it was so different. Like my family was like sheltered or something. Like I don't know.
So if she had found
like one time she found a bong like made out of a honey bear, and they like wanted to get it tested for like they went to get it tested for hard drugs. I lied and said it was somebody else's, like a friend, and they got it. They were like, it just tested for pot, and I'm like, did you think that was a crack pipe, like out of a honey bear? And I genuinely think they thought it was a crack pipe made out of a honey bear. That's the house I grew up in. It was like my dad drank, but not alcoholically, but drugs were bad.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
oh, yeah.
And he was in Vietnam. I'm like, why were you not like, you probably could have used to smoke a little weed, like mellow out a little. But they were just not
professional
tuned in. They were not like, they were in a different place.
Yeah.
Like, they were in a different, operating a like, I would like to think that I'm a little bit more in tune with like what's going on with the youth. I mean, I'm still kind of a dork. The youth of America.
Oh, my God.
I know, I'm not the youth anymore. It's kind of sad. And then, anyways, I have a lot of things to say about that too, but it's a different podcast.
Okay, so your life, like, let's talk a little bit about your life today. And I want people to
See the contrast.
I want people to understand that making this change, how this happens, how this comes to be, and the work that goes along with it, and kind of where your eating disorder is today and where that plays, like where that is today.
So I like I said, like that relapse, the big relapse, I was like still struggling, but then we were doing speed, and so then I was skinny again, and I was happy. I mean, I wasn't happy, but like, you know what I mean? Like it was just like a solution. Yeah. Which is like really sad. But and then we got sober again, I got sober again, and I wasn't engaging in an eating disorder. I was still like, I mean, look, you're the brain of somebody who has had an eating disorder, especially to like, at least my experience, it's only my experience. I think that there's a lot of recovery that comes after the physical parts of it. It's like the thinking and stuff. So if you flash forward, I guess the best thing to flash forward to is like getting pregnant. So I was struggling on and off up until I got pregnant. Like I would have bouts. And I got pregnant, and it was like done. Like there's no more throwing up your food on purpose. Like there's just not. Like it's just not an option. Like I was sick my first trimester. And it was kind of weird because like I would throw up, and I was like, am I making my, like? But I wasn't. Yeah. But it's like this weird mind screw.
That totally makes sense to me.
Yeah. And I was like, even if I get sick now, like I have to like check with myself because I could still like probably bend over and throw up if I wanted to. Yeah. Just like your body, like you can. Yeah, you probably could. You just don't know you can. Yeah, no. Actually, no, you're really bad at throwing up. That's gross. But so no, I got pregnant. After I was sick the first trimester, but then after that, and I was, that's hard. And then I had a very healthy pregnancy, had a really long labor, had the baby, and then I experienced postpartum anxiety, which I had like, it was just hard. I just was like, I had a really long labor. I was in labor for like 36 hours, and I hadn't slept in that whole time. And then when we were at the hospital, I didn't sleep much at all. I think I was really sensitive to the hormones. And then we came home, and I was very sleep deprived. Like I was delusional. Like I had fallen, this is so crazy. I had fallen asleep when we got home, and I like woke up in a frenzy, and I asked I was like, where's the chicken? Where's the chicken? I thought she was a baby chicken. So ridiculous. So that's my starting point at home. He's like, she's in the coop. I was like, she was in the coop. I thought we had a baby chick. And I was like, and then I like settled.
Are you sure that's postpartum anxiety?
No, I think it was sleep deprivation. I was like extremely tired. Like like I hadn't slept. Yeah. But sober, And so
the chicken.
We still joke about it. She did kind of look like a baby chick. But she was in the crib. He's like, I moved her, did it? Because I passed out on the bed. And so that was my starting point, and I did experience like baby blues. I felt down, but what happened was, and I ended up treating it, but like that was just where so that was like the beginning of my postpartum experience was like obsessive thinking and like imagining falling down flights of stairs, holding the baby, like crazy stuff. I mean, I felt connected to her, so like it was like you could file that under postpartum depression, but it really manifested more in a sense of like not being able to sleep when I was given opportunities to sleep because like my brain was spinning. Yeah. And so I ended up getting on medication 6 weeks postpartum, which like totally helped. Hallelujah. Oh my God. It was like I just had that feeling of like, shouldn't I be enjoying this more? Like, this is crazy. Because I was, yeah. Anyway, so I went through that.
I'm the wrong person to ask.
And I did. Yeah, I don't know what normal is. But yeah, and then you're left with this postpartum body, which is totally crazy for anybody, let alone somebody who's had body image issues their whole life. And, but then I trained for like a half marathon, and that was helpful because like I was really active and I was going to the gym. But then I was like, would like just fluctuate, like I was still struggling with I was still struggling with food. I just wasn't like throwing up. So it was like up and down, up and down.
That was your bottom line.
Yeah, that was my bottom line. I mean, I definitely, I don't know specifically when. I'm sure in that span there was like a relapse at some point. I'm sure. I don't know. I can't specifically put my finger on it, but like I don't have like a date in mind that's I haven't thrown up since this date, but like it's been a long time. I mean, this was like 7 years ago. So then but then just have struggled with my relationship with food and really then at 5 years sober, got to a point where I got really present to the way I was thinking and talking to myself and realizing like I was just really done being mean to myself. And that was like where a lot of the stuff was stemming from, was just this like mean voice inside, like negative self-talk. And so I started to work on that. And started to like change the negative thoughts into affirmations and did a bunch of work on it and like I felt so freaking good. Like I had probably never felt like that whole or good in my life. I was like really in a great space. And then I got pregnant again. And it was like, oh my God, like it really, I had a very rough pregnancy with my second because I was sick the whole time. I literally felt hungover every day. Mm-hmm. And you did too. You were going through it too with twins, which is like, ugh, I don't know how. But it felt like a spiritual hit because I was like doing all this great stuff and feeling so good. And then I was just lethargic and nauseous and like tired. And my husband and I were arguing.
Oh, I remember
it was
that.
just hard. It was like a hard time. I was so grateful to be pregnant because I really wanted to be pregnant.
Yeah.
But it felt like a big setback, like spiritually and emotionally. And after I had Frankie, like I felt really good. And since then, like, like I don't engage in an eating disorder, which is a miracle and a blessing. And I do consider myself to be in recovery, but that doesn't mean that everything's always easy. And I'm like nothing's ever a struggle, and I still can like fluctuate, you know what I mean? So it's like, I still have that voice that I have to be like, shh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't throw up my food no matter what. And it's like all learning, and it's like loving yourself anyway, loving yourself unconditionally, deciding that you're going to accept and love yourself like in this moment and like embrace, life's too short. Like if I died tomorrow, would anybody talk about what size my jeans were? No. Like I was going to say probably not, but definitely not. Like definitely not. No. And I do, like for me, recovery looks like, from the eating disorder, looks like I don't utter one negative word about my body in front of my children. I mean, I don't talk negatively about my body mostly. I mean, sometimes I joke with my friends, but like even then it's like it'll seep in. So like I have to be careful with that, I want them to have a positive body image, I have a squishy tummy, and guess what? Like mommy has a squishy postpartum belly, and it's so great. Isn't it so great? It carried you guys. Yeah. Like, isn't that great? Mm-hmm. Or like, they touch you and notice you and smother you. No, I'm just kidding. But I don't know, like just being like, okay with who you are, because there's like beauty in that. Like when I see people who I think are beautiful, they're not perfect. Yeah. They could have cellulite, but it's like the way they carry themselves or think of themselves. So it's like where we live, there's a lot of pressure. We live in a beach culture area. Yeah. There's a lot of genetically blessed people.
Very blessed.
It's very weird. But I don't know, like at the end of the day, like how...
But
I want to feel good. Like I want to feel happy. Like how, I don't know, like I'm not willing to kill myself to fit into like one mold. Yeah. That like, who decided that that's the one way to be? You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's amazing. And your life now is so cool, and all the...
Yeah, it's a great life. And like I live, we are sober without wine o'clock. We're moms. We're sober moms without wine o'clock.
Without wine o'clock.
Which is like a miracle.
Yeah.
Sometimes I need a glass of wine. Yeah. But then I think I just don't need a glass of wine because I won't drink one glass of wine. Yeah. I've never drank.
I think I need a bottle.
But I'm like, well, a bottle is really only 4 glasses. So you really need like 2 bottles.
Yeah. It starts to get out.
Or maybe a bottle and a Xanax. Is that normal?
100%.
I don't think that's normal.
I don't know.
Do normal people drink a bottle? No.
We're
getting a no.
Okay, we're getting a no. Producer says no.
She's not
No,
alcoholic.
she's not alcoholic, so she knows. That's our gauge. Yeah, no, it's
So it's just not a realistic, like, just that it's not a realistic idea that I would like have a glass of wine at the end of the day.
Yeah. No, it's just been so fun growing up sober with you and like seeing us from kids and seeing these relationships. And these are, people have friendships over long spans of time. I mean, I see that out in the world, but it's when you have been through what we've been through and together, and, I was around when you got loaded, and I was around when you got sober again, and all the different things, and you've been around for my dramas and just the beauty of having that community and knowing someone at that level has been a real blessing. So yes, people in Orange County, there are many genetically blessed, but I think that I think that our life has been really blessed by our recovery and what we've done and the hard work that we've come through to change our lives.
Totally. It's wild. Like it's that whole thing, like two lives in one lifetime or whatever they say.
To like 10.
Yeah, really, it's 10 lives.
Yeah.
But no, and I just think like, I don't know, it's almost like I have to remind myself of what it was like. I think that's why we like continue to go to meetings and continue to like tell our story, because I
have to.
Pain has a short-term memory to begin with, and then like beyond that, my life looks so freaking different that it's like I don't even relate to the girl in Prescott. You know what I mean? Like to the drunken skateboarding bangs having girl.
No, I feel that same way.
Like who is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Removed from it.
It's like a weird thing. And then it's like just like also making peace with that girl.
Yeah. And feeling compassion for her.
Yeah. And like not being ashamed, I guess.
Yeah. Which has been a big thing for you with the blogging stuff and
really
coming out.
Big thing because I didn't share that publicly because I felt like, here's the thing. I felt really conflicted about like breaking my anonymity because I didn't want to represent the recovery community because it's just me. It's my story. It's my opinion. And if I'm being really honest, I was afraid of being judged. Yeah. I have a kid in first grade and I felt like I didn't want to be the weird person or I didn't want to like not be invited places or whatever. But then it was like, this is so stupid. Like I'm sharing my whole life authentically. I'm sharing my motherhood journey. I'm sharing about postpartum anxiety. I'm sharing about like struggles with marriage, like not even, just everything like is on the table. And then this major part of who I am. And then it leads to these really awkward situations with people when they're like, want to have a cocktail with you because they don't know. And then it's like, how do you make, it was just almost like got harder to like not tell than to tell. And now it's like, it's just out there. It's out there for the world.
Well, I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming and sharing your story and being authentic here. And hopefully, hopefully people will relate to your story. And your blog is amazing, chasingmcallisters.com. Will you spell that for us?
Yes, Chasing McAllisters is ChasingMcAllisters.com or on Instagram, Chasing McAllisters. Yes.
Yes.
I mean, same spelling.
Yes. So Emily is an amazing blogger and writes about motherhood and lifestyle. And she also is an amazing, amazing photographer. So stay tuned for that. Check that stuff out. And we'll talk soon.
Peace out.
Peace.
The Courage to Change, a recovery podcast, would like to thank our sponsor, Lion Rock Recovery, for their support. Lion Rock Recovery provides online substance abuse counseling where you can get help from the privacy of your own home. For more information, visit www.lionrockrecovery.com/podcast. Subscribe and join our podcast community to hear amazing stories of courage and transformation. We are so grateful to our listeners and hope that you will engage with us. Please email us comments, questions, anything you want to share with us, how this podcast has affected you. Our email address is podcast@lionrockrecovery.com. We want to hear from you.